What's up, y'all? It's Wolf. So, I just asked myself a monumental question. I want you to look at this thumbnail for the video, and I'm going to put it in the video right now, okay? This was relevant to something that I came across tonight. So, this entire thought was sparked off of a weird thing, okay? So, I had this thought tonight where I was like, I wonder why people stopped getting hanged in the Wild West era. And I was like, man, that sounds really bad, okay? But it wasn't like, oh, okay, we need to start instituting that. It wasn't like that. Well, I thought of it like this, okay? Was it far too wicked in the eyes of the Lord that stopped happening? And that maybe it scarred people with darkness too much. Something like that I think that maybe the church stepped in on that. Regardless, I came to this thought process I wanted to share, okay? It's completely irrelevant, but kind of, okay? God is the ultimate goalie, and I thought about this in a soccer game, but I also stated at the same time that God does not play games, okay? Well, he might play cards with you in the afterlife. I don't know, but God is not to be toyed with. He is not to be treated as a game, okay? God is your father figure. He is the ultimate father, the alpha, the omega, okay? So you need to see it this way, okay? When I thought about it, I went, okay, God is the ultimate goalie. If God was a goalie, okay, you can't get anything by God. Nothing. He is 100% success rate. He does not... You can't get nothing past God. Nothing. And I saw this net hanging from a ceiling in a Walgreens. Right after I started talking about this out loud in my truck and figuring it out, and I was like, I just seen this net. And it was like, if that ain't living proof that the Lord is pushing me to make videos and do this, I don't know what is, bro. Think about this, okay? God is the ultimate goalie. You can't get anything by him. And it sparked a thought in me where I was like, hold on a second. If you are marked, okay, or you are way out in the dark that you can't even see God or you can't see the light, okay? You can't see anything, but God can still see you. That's wild to think about. So what does that mean? You can't sneak one by God, and if you're way out in the dark, you can't see God, but he can see you. God can see everything you do in your life, bro. Any decision you make. You can't sneak one past God. Doesn't matter if you're sitting up underneath a curse and you're doing this or doing that, and I did this, he still saw it, bro. You can't sneak one past God. He always was, he always will be. God is the infinite. You can't sneak one past the Lord, bro. I thought about this tonight and I was like, hold on a second. Most people who are so far out in the dark think that they can do something and that God didn't see it. I think that maybe that's not an active thought in somebody's mind, but inherently how they act, how they act every day, they believe that in a way, where I could sneak one past God if I did this way out in the dark and nobody ever saw it, that even God doesn't know about it. And it's like God watched you do it, like he knows. That sparked me to another thought, okay? God's always watching your life and watching what you're doing and every decision you make and everything you do, okay? So, God is watching trillions of things, not even trillions, bro. God is watching an infinite amount of things happen at one time. He has his eyes on everything at once. That is insane to think about. God is the Most High. That's wild to think about, where you're like, you can't sneak one past the man in the chair, bro. God is the man in the chair. God is the man that will judge you at the gates. God is the ultimate Alpha Omega. You cannot sneak one past God ever. Ever. So what does that mean? Well, I thought about that in a second. I was like, okay, well, in the spiritual, that means that God can see what Satan does at every single move he makes. That's why he always is in control, too. He knows everything, even down to what the devil does. He knows it. He knows what... If you walked into that store right there and you stole something and you're like, there's no way, I'm so far out in the dark, I've done so many terrible things in my life that I'm so far out in the dark that nobody's going to see me. God saw you steal it. He has his eyes on you whether you're way out in the dark or whether you're in the light. You are always being watched, bro. And that's not such a bad thing, because what does that mean? Well, if you're awakened to that, then every decision you make in your life you are held accountable for. Even if there's no one around you to hold you accountable, God's watching you. He's right there. He's all around you, bro. He's watching you. Like, that sparked questions in me that I was like, wait a second. So, it made me think about something with, like, with certain things where, like, not hangings, the Wild West stuff, that was just the thing I was thinking about, where I was like, I was asking myself that maybe technology and how modern culture shaped that, where they were like, oh, okay, we need to stop doing this. Like, it's kind of brutal. All these people are watching this, and like, it's a big spectacle, and it's making people, it's feeding their darkness. And I thought about that maybe that's why they stopped doing public executions, was because it fed people's darkness and they wanted to see it. So instead of relying on God for divine judgment on a situation, they wanted to see justice right there and see them hanged and see them publicly executed. And it's like, okay, I think the church might have stepped in on that. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I do think that it was influencing people's wickedness in them to an extent where they wanted judgment and they wanted justice in their own hands. And that's not how things are supposed to go, okay? And so, bear with me on that. Regardless, God is not a game. He is not to be toyed with, okay? If he tells you to do something, you better damn well do it, bro. Because if you don't, like, he's in control. You'll face a full circle for what you do and you don't do. So if God's telling you to do something, and that could be that God would have punished me if I wouldn't have made this video, because I saw the confirmation of that net right there, that I needed to make this video to touch one person out there. That maybe they can wake up and go, oh, dude, like, God's been watching me the whole time. Like, that's not good. Well, I mean, it's good, but it's not good. So it's good because you know that, okay, he's watching me. God loves me. He wants me to make decisions. He's trying to correct me. So God will constantly try and correct you if you're doing something bad, doing something wrong, okay? And if you're doing something good, you'll get rewarded for it. Even if it's not here, bro. Even afterlife. And it even may just be like a pat on the back, like, I'm proud of you. Like, here's, or maybe he even gives you something. Who knows? And it may not even be such a physical or a metaphysical spiritual reward, but it might be that you've done so many good things in your life that God has seen that he's set you at a certain rank within the light. I thought about that too, where it was like, well, maybe there's a rank to it, you know what I mean? Like, you did all this righteous stuff over your life and helped all these people. Maybe you have a spiritual rank that you're not even aware of. Like, maybe you was just a good person, and then you found God, found Jesus, and was like, oh, okay. Like, that makes a lot of sense. So, and that might be something people agree with. They're like, there's a spiritual rank. And it's like, okay, I understand that. I'm hoping I'm up there, man. I got my armor. I got everything on me. I'm cool. But it sparked thought in me that outside of the whole soccer game thing, because it's not a game, think about God being the ultimate goalie, as in, like, God is the very center of everything. He is and always will be. So if you go out and do something in the dark that you're saying, he's never saw this, nobody ever saw this, only I know about it. God knows about it. So you can't sneak one past him. So anything you do in the dark or in the light, God knows about it. So say you beat the hell out of somebody and jumped him and robbed him and did all that, God knows about it. Even if they didn't have any witness statement, nobody was around, nothing happened, God still saw it, bro. So no matter what, the divine, he saw it. God saw it, bro. So, yeah, you need to check yourself before you wreck yourself. Because I'm just saying, you're going to have to pay for it in one way or another. Whether it's here and God has a full circle for you, or God has a plan of judgment at the gates for you and he judges you for it. And God may judge you for it here where you have a full circle and you face divine judgment for something. It is what it is. But it sparked something in me where I was like, okay, God's the ultimate goalie. And here's the thing. I also thought about this too. I was like, okay, well, say in the afterlife, you're like, I want to play a game of cards against God. Well, you're going to lose, bro. Like, he's the all-knowing. Like, he's going to whoop you. Like, and maybe he lets you win. I don't know. But that's kind of jokingly thinking about it. But never treat God as though he is a game, okay? He is the creator. So, like, if you're playing games against God, you're going to lose. Like, you're going to lose. And what do I say about that, okay? When you're in the dark and you do something really terrible to someone in the light on purpose because you can't stand them because they have the light of God and Jesus in them, you're playing games with the ultimate Father, bro. You're playing games with someone you don't want to be playing with. That's why everybody always says, when you see somebody that's from the light that is chosen by God to walk with him, okay? You don't mess with them, okay? You could shake with them and do right by them and be as righteous towards them in a direct... If you sow light to somebody from the light, that's a good thing, okay? Even if you're from the dark and you refuse to convert and you refuse to believe in Jesus, you refuse wisdom, you refuse this, even if you just did right by the person with a straight shake, God still saw that, okay? So you're not being punished for something like that. That's why it's important that you think about everything you do. Every decision you make and how you treat people. God sees it, bro. He sees it. So for me, it's like, okay, if you're alone, okay, and this is one thing I'm going to say, okay, and I don't know exactly. Say you're alone and you saw this dude and, you know, he made you laugh, but you're like, I got to say something like, this dude, this and this and this. Well, God still saw you say it, but you didn't go and treat him any differently, okay? So it was a conversation that you had with yourself, but also God saw it, or even maybe he told you stop acting like that, okay? And there might be that you get whipped for that. It could be. It could be that you get in trouble for that. So you need to be careful about what your tongue says, which I have a problem with that, not behind people's backs, that type of thing. But sometimes I'll say something where I'm in like my automotive video and I'll say something like beep, 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 just censored, and I'm like, cut it out, because that that one was bad. And it's generally after I punch knuckles on a frame or I'm frustrated or something, I tend to let my mouth go a little bit when I'm working on cars. I don't really know why that is, but sometimes I just do that. When I'm doing ministry videos and I'm doing spiritual talks with people, though, I avoid using any cuss words, okay? And I do that on purpose because I don't want to. I want to give you the best light version of myself that I possibly can. Okay. And when it comes to my automotive videos, you might hear me, okay, this, you said this, but you never say that in like your spiritual videos. Well, that's for a reason. Okay. Like, I don't want to disrespect the divine by putting out a spiritual or a biblical video and running my mouth kind of carelessly, okay? And so some people may be like, well, you're like this and you're like this there. And it's like, well, outside of me preaching and being and trying to help people gain wisdom and giving people spiritual talks that can help them, yes, I'm a little more careless, okay? And that's, maybe people would understand that, maybe they wouldn't. And I'm like, okay, that's okay. Like, for me, I'll answer to God for that. That's okay. But I think about it and I'm like, okay, so God is the ultimate goalie. So you don't play games against God. I've seen this with certain people in my life, okay? I've seen this in the Bible. And this, look at Saul, bro. The epitome of somebody playing games with God. He was specifically told, you need to hand your kingship over because you disobeyed me and you did this action despite Samuel telling you not to do it. And so he pursued David and just pursued him and continued to disobey God. And there was a divine judgment and boom, you played games with God and you got smoked by the divine. You don't play games against the ultimate goalie, bro. Like the ultimate goalie, and I'm speaking in a game reference, but it's not a game. God can be the goalie and can kick the ball all the way across the field and make a goal, and you are powerless against it. Because he knows every angle and every weakness that he knows everything. He knows everything. So God has his eyes on an infinite amount of things around you. And he is the central hub of everything that was, is, and is in the future. So say you're 30 years old and in your life you're going to have a heart attack at 55, okay? God already knows what doctor is going to save you. God already knows that the hairs on your head are counted. So God knows how many hairs are on your head, bro. He already knows how many gray hairs I got here, bro. From all the stress of this town. God knows. God's seen your suffering. He's seen your righteousness. He's seen your wickedness. He's seen everything. He will see everything today, and he knows what he's going to see in a week. The net that was hanging from that ceiling freaked me out, bro. I went there to do a DoorDash, okay? I just got done. I dropped fuses in somebody's Nissan today because they were having a injector issue, and I swapped out fuses and it ran good, okay? So I never expected to have this talk or this thought. So the thoughts that came to me about God being the ultimate goalie and then seeing that was God working through me to put this video out. With the confirmation of that there, which scared the crap out of me. I walked in there. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, I just had this conversation with myself in the car, and I was almost like, this randomly came to me, bro. Like, nobody did anything bad to me where I was like, okay, I need to reflect on this. It just came to me. Well, and the hanging thing from the Wild West came to me, which I was like, I'm not going to talk about that yet. I'm going to investigate it first, and I'm going to come back with an answer for that. So I'm going to do and this is going to be kind of maybe a little bit of a dark thing, but how or why public execution stopped happening from a spiritual point of view, not from a cultural aspect. And I think that we see it in a cultural aspect where we're like, well, we kind of grew beyond, doing public hangings and doing this, and like it seems inhumane in modern culture when we give people death sentences or we put people to death in a certain way, okay? And so we'll get to that. That's something I need to study that and look through history and understand and maybe talk with God about it and pray about it and get some answers about it before I even speak my tongue on it on one way or the other. Do I support it one way or the other? I'm not. That ain't my thing. I'm just what actually brought it to my attention here, okay? And I'll just speak on it to this point. There was a man that was hanged in this city a long time ago, and it was the end of hangings in this state, okay? It was the last one, the last public execution that happened here, and nobody knew if the guy was innocent or guilty. Nobody knew. They assumed he was guilty and voted that he was guilty, I believe. And it could be, maybe he was innocent. I don't know, okay? And it could be that somebody was hanged and put to death and turned up to be innocent, and they hanged the right person, so they killed somebody they shouldn't have, and technically they cursed the man. That I kind of thought about that and was like, okay, maybe that's why. We'll get to that video. But in this one, I just wanted to simply talk about, you can't sneak one past God. It doesn't matter if you went right into that store and you stole yourself a chicken, mashed potato, and corn bowl. He saw it, bro. It doesn't matter if you walked into a junkyard and you stole a bunch of fuses. He saw it, okay? It doesn't matter if you walked into a grocery store and you got produce that's organic, but you paid for the regular produce. He still saw it, okay? He sees accidents. So maybe you did that on accident, where you walked in there and you got organic produce and you paid for regular produce. And maybe you didn't think about it when you punched the numbers in and did that. God knows your intentions as well. So not only did he see it, but he saw your heart, he saw your mind, he can work through you. You have a human soul. You have a human soul and spirit. God can, it's almost like God has his hand into your spirit, but he can read it like a computer code. Like he owns it. He created it. So he knows you in and out, bro. Like you can't just lie to God. You can't tell him your intentions were one thing when they were really another. Okay? Say you went in there and you accidentally didn't pay for a case of water under your cart. And it didn't even hit your mind. You just threw it in the cart and this and that. Well, God knows you accidentally did it. Is he going to, whip you for it? Maybe. But probably not as much if your intentions were just like, oh, I didn't mean to steal a thing, because he knows that. Even if you did know about it, here's the thing. If I went in there and I bought a bunch of groceries and I had a thing of water under my cart, okay? And I walked out here and I threw it in the car and I went, oh, I didn't pay for that. And I just loaded everything up and I left. God knows that you had the awakening to it and you refused to go back in there and pay for it. That's it. He knows, bro. He knows. Will you get punished for that? Well, maybe you're going to have something taken from you. So God may have a full circle for you. He may want to have a talk with you about it in the afterlife. There may be a divine judgment you have to pay for something so small. Especially if you do it all the time. Which I'm not saying that people walk in there and steal cases of water, okay? I'm using it as an example. Maybe it's a good one. Because, well, you see grocery stores as clerks, they are trained to look at the bottom of your cart to see if you have water there. Because it happens a lot. Unknowingly and knowingly. I suppose. Maybe more unknowingly, too. It may be that people realize it happened in this parking lot. That this parking lot has a lot of that. Where people throw it in the car, I didn't pay for that. But I'm not going back in to pay for it. And they leave. So, technically, you stole it. Because you didn't go back in there and pay for it. If you have an awakening about a situation where something like that happens, God knows about your awakening. God knows that you are guilty of knowing about it and not going back in to rectify it. That goes back to the whole goalie phenomenon, okay? And I'm not trying to create these phenomenons so people go and talk about them. I say it as phenomenon as it's applicable to my walk and my ministry. Somebody else may see it a different way, okay? Where they're like, it's different, and it's okay. It's the concept that I've created to push my, I guess, understanding of how things work, okay? So if somebody else has a different understanding of it and says it's not the goalie phenomenon, it's the point guard phenomenon, you're like, oh, okay, well, it's the same type of thing. You know, God ain't gonna let you sneak a basket past him. And yes, he will sink one half court on you, and that's game. Like, God will do that. You know, it is what it is. God is all-knowing. He's all-powerful. You cannot sneak one past God. But once you accept that you are willing to be, you're willing to work for God and willing to be in chains for him, God, if you accept, I'm willing to be in chains for God, for whatever you need me to do, I'll go and do it. God ain't even going to put any chains on you, especially if he knows your heart. That you ain't going to turn around half-heartedly and go, I'm not going to do this. If you follow all the way through consistently and he knows your heart and how you work, there ain't no need to have chains on you. He may have a nice spiritual cord on you, so if you go out to the dark to, do something or whatever, and people start to attack you, he'll yank you right back in. God will protect you if he knows your heart like that. That's something you need to understand. So, there's a level of divine protection that is associated with that. Am I getting off topic? A little bit. But you can't sneak one past God. And if you accept that in your daily life, you are going to make much more righteous and wise decisions, because you don't have this little bit in your mind where you're thinking that you're going to get away with something. You don't get away with anything. That's something that Jordan Peterson actually said, was that you don't get away with anything ever. And he's a clinical psychologist that has seen it, bro. He's seen it with people where it's like, oh, okay, I did this and this and that, and I feel like I got away with it. And then maybe 6 months, something comes up in therapy, and he's like, remember when you did that? Yeah, you didn't get away with it. Or, I screwed this person for this, now I'm paying for it in one way or another. Immediately, you will pay for it here. In the way you operate in your life or in your mind, you will pay for what you do in the dark. That if you sow dark on somebody, you're going to pay for it here. Pretty much like immediately. You will pay for it like that. And it may be that you're paying for it over and over and over and over and over again until God is smacking you on the head and telling you, rectify it. Do something about it. You have time. You're still alive. The situation is still young. Like, it's almost like God is also like, if you're in a boxing match with life, okay? God is the one that's in your corner, who's patting you down and giving you water, and okay, you need to go in and do this. He's giving you direction. He's hitting you with the stick a little bit and telling you need to get in there and do this. Not snake biting you. I don't think that God, I do believe that there's references to the snake in the Bible that are not, I don't know if they're inherently bad. I got to read more of it, so don't quote me on that. But when it comes to the archetype of the snake, I think it's used in multiple ways. But I see that God is also the person that is trying to give you direction on how to win in life. So if you go out into a boxing match with life and you're like, I sow darkness to somebody, you're going to go right back to the corner and you got a black eye and he's hitting you with a stick telling you, go rectify it and, lick your wounds and learn from it. Sounds like something that a father figure would do. That you need to learn from this. Okay, so you can't sneak one past God. You can't and you always have God in your corner, okay? Some people, they may have pledged their allegiance to the wrong side. And when you go to that corner, he's probably not going to correct you. He's probably going to tell you, go ahead and throw your life away. Which, that's when you'll realize who's in your corner based upon who you ride for, okay? And you're only riding for two sides. And you can't serve God, you can't serve money at the same time, and you can't serve two masters at the same time. Things don't work that way, okay? So you're serving God, or you're serving the wrong side, okay? You don't want to be serving the wrong side, because God will watch after you and will correct you. The other side, he don't care. He's gonna laugh at you. You just got beat up, yeah. ha ha, you did my will by working in the dark, and I don't care, you're disposable to me. God sees someone in the light as precious, especially if you walk in a certain way where you're extremely righteous in the way that you act every day. Your state of mind, your how did Jordan Peterson say it? Your mode of being. If your mode of being is righteous and not wicked, which is also your state of mind, that's something that I kind of correlate with Jordan Peterson on. You have your mode of being on how you act in the world, and you have your state of mind, which is in here. So if your state of mind, your mode of being, how you act out in the world, directly affects your state of mind. That's really weird. So if I'm in a wicked mode of being out here in the world, I'm going to have a cause and effect of a wicked state of mind. If I'm acting as righteous as I possibly can out here in the world, I'm going to have a cause and effect of righteousness in my mind. So mode of being and state of mind go hand in hand like that. And that was something I had to think about, where I was like, like Jordan Peterson was onto something, where when he talks about your mode of being, it's about how you go out and you fight the dragon. Okay? And it's like, well, you have some people out there trying to shake hands with the dragon or trying to ride it around. And it's like, that ain't good. You ain't trying to make friends with chaos. That's not or trying to be the chaos. You don't want to do that. Your mode of being, it's directly correlated with your state of mind, okay? And that being said, your intentions about how you did something, okay? I'm going to use an example here. Not going to say if it's a personal experience or not, but say that you live in an apartment complex and you have a parking spot that you have regularly and it's yours, okay? And your neighbor parks in your spot. And you kind of look at it and you're like, okay, well, the person has this going on. And it's like, okay, well, what was the person's intention? Was it to make you mad and to sow darkness to you and park there just to make you mad, angry, trip up and try and do this? That could be. God knows the intentions of that person. God knows your state of mind, and he knows your mode of being, and he knows the actions and the cause and effect. So God sees it from his eyes of how your mode of being is and how it affects your mind. So on top of that, God also knows what dark seeds you have in your mind. God can help you remove them if you seek him through the word. So the seed of fear, the seed of greed, all these seeds that can be planted in you or that are self-planted by your mode of being. So your mode of being out in the world, say I'm wicked to somebody and I'm greedy and I take something from somebody and I sow darkness. I just sowed a seed of greed in me where I'm more prone to do it again because I have this seed of greed in my mind. Because I didn't have wisdom by how I acted in the world and I didn't rectify it. God sees that from an outside eye in a way that we don't understand. But he understands, he has the remedy for this. And if you can remedy this, you'll remedy your mode of being. So it's a two-part thing. You have to remedy your state of mind by getting wisdom and getting in the Word of God. You rectify your mode of being by here. You have to understand here. So you can't... I've never seen somebody that's righteous in here and that's doing wickedness out here and isn't paying for it here. So there's a full circle in divine judgment right there. There's a full circle in divine judgment. I took something from this person. I was greedy about it. I face no full circle. Wrong. I'm facing it here at the very least. Where now, tomorrow, I'm making decisions that are less off a narrow path and more towards a wicked state of mind, towards the gate of death. The gate to death is wide, bro. There's more opportunities in life that you're prone to making a dark decision than a light one. Why? Well, it might be evenly matched in some situations. But if the gate to death is so wide, okay? It's wide because the opportunities to do something that is self-centered, that is out of foolishness, is a lot higher because people don't get it. If you gain wisdom, you'll act in righteous ways. I've never seen somebody that's like, I gained wisdom and I read all this in the Bible, but I went out there and I did something wicked. Somebody that does something like that is actively playing games with God. And you can't sneak one past God. Until next time, Lone Wolf. Peace out.